I'm excited for people to hear the whole album finally because we're releasing singles, you know, and every song is so diverse on this record.
My name's Bardo.
What's up, y'all? Eduardo.
Hi, I'm Carlos.
And we are Chicano Batman.
And you are watching
Billboard News.
Hey, I'm Lindsay Havens for Billboard News, and we're here with LA legends, Chicano Batman. How's it going, guys?
Good.
I found my way. The forest got some magical feel, yeah.
I know it was your most collaborative album, from my understanding. So tell me a little bit about what that was like, you know, between all of you and then also the other people that you brought in for this.
We wanted each of us to kind of have the reins on whatever song we presented to the group. Whether it's, okay, I want string, it's kind of like a John Lennon vibe, I want strings on it. And they're like, okay, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
And John Congleton was really, our producer was really helpful in that process. He's also, you know, he's a legend as well. I'm a biggest fan of St. Vincent, all his work with St. Vincent. Worked here at Sunset Sound, so it was, I don't know, I was kind of sweating the day before because I was like, oh, the Doors recorded everything there.
It's a cool studio.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know we were gonna record there. The morning I was like, so where am I going? Someone sent me an address. So I showed up and it's raining. I go inside, I'm like, here?
It was a rainy February.
It's a rainy February.
You're tracking right next to like Prince's room,
Right.
And his basketball court is in the courtyard of the place. And
We're shooting
it's
hoops between, you know, takes.
It's just such an amazing studio. You know, you put so much into wanting to create something like that. So it really just, the circumstances are just what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to literally pour it onto the tape
Right.
and make it happen.
Like in the room where we recorded, like Fantasia was recorded there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, the walls have something to tell you.
Stairway to Heaven.
Like right near where I was standing, Van Halen recorded Eruption.
So you feel all of that
You
when you're
do.
in the room.
You know, you open that vessel and it comes in and you level up.
Yeah.
You're like, well, if Jim Morrison did that right here, what am I gonna do today? You know, it's like it
Right,
really
it's
is.
possible.
It really is history. So it's our turn, and I
Yeah.
think that's what that was the batter up.
Yeah. I love what you said about how, you know, this, you kind of need to hear this album as a whole because it is diverse and wide-ranging sonically. Do you have some favorite bands that you really admire for being a melting pot of sound?
That's a great question.
The Beatles.
Café Tacuba, they really did it. Chicano Batman,
I was gonna say.
you know, because honestly, like we love Caetano Veloso, we like Radiohead.
Yeah.
I love Tigres del Norte, you know,
Caetano
we
Veloso's
got
a great
Colombians
example.
thing, we got the pop thing, we got the whole thing, but like, I guess we're just in the position to bring it all together, you know,
Yeah.
put it under one roof.
We've been students of a lot of music, you know, whether it's like, we also grew up at a good time, like in the 90s, pretty much. So whether it's Nirvana on the radio, whether it's like, you know, romantic ballads that are on, you know, in Spanish at the house, whether it's like funk music or K-Earth 101, you know, it was like literally it was all around all the time.
All right, so we're gonna talk about some of the album tracks now. We're gonna focus on 3 of them. So we're gonna start with Fly.
I'm gonna get it everywhere.
Why did you all feel like this is a proper introduction to this project?
I remember playing back the mix from John Congleton, the producer, and it was just like an immediate, to me, standout track. Like, wow, we made this. This is something like, I mean, I feel like every time we make a record, we're trying to do something different and new,
Yeah.
you know, and that's certainly the case for all the songs on this record. But that one just had like this thing. I don't know. I can't even explain it in words. But I felt something, and I was like, wow, Bardo's vocals are incredible on this. You know,
Yeah.
the production, the bass line is insane. The hook, and it was fun too. You know, it's just like a great uplifting track to me.
Yeah.
And it's also very different. So it's like, it's also telling the world like, yeah, we're not really wearing corduroy shirts, we're kind of V-necks right now. So if you want to mess with it, I mean, that's what we're on. So, you know, you cool, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, the next track, we'll be wearing a flannel for all y'all. And then the next track is gonna be muscle shirt. And the next track is a jacket. So that's what, for me, it's like, each track is so different, you know, and it's good not to give somebody what they expect.
Well, we did a video for it,
Yeah.
and we just kind of went wild with it. You know, I personally, I like to, whatever visual representation, I like to do something different.
Yep.
You know, just like, okay, if there's a new song, I'm gonna approach it in a certain way. You know, Fly was Carlos's kind of baby, where he like had this like funk 80s thing going on, and yeah, I could hear it right away, and I could just kind of put myself in that
Yeah.
and be like, okay, well, I have to act in that way and be that person, you know. So I mean, I'm a big fan of the ways in which David Bowie kind of personifies different
Totally.
things. He's just moving on. He's like a painter. He's just like painting something every day, you know. And I think that's what makes great artists is that they're not afraid to just kind of be different and just challenge, whether it's challenging any kind of norms that exist out there, or whether it's kind of like you know, yeah, just kind of being their authentic selves.
Era Primavera is this gorgeous Spanish ballad, mid-century. Tell me a little bit about how that was something that inspired you from an early age.
I guess I'll provide a little bit of context. If you grew up in LA or anywhere, Southern California, I think, and if you're, you know, of, you know, Latino origin, then you probably, you know, listen to like your parents' music, like growing up in the 90s, you know, and a lot of that music that, you know, recorded music was from the 60s and the 70s. So that was music that when they were young, they would listen to. You know, my dad is 67, so he listened to that. He was like in his 20s, I think, in the 80s. So anyways, he listened to all those old school classic joints from the 70s and the 60s and stuff. And, you know, just like you had, you know, soul music here in the States, right? Whether it's Al Green, for example. You know, you had singers like and crooners like that in Latin America, whether it's Argentina, Mexico, wherever it was, Brazil. And, you know, you have people like Leodan, you have people like Jose. And so it's like a whole genre of romantic music, kind of very similar to this American music as well. And that's just what's playing, you know, while people, you know, parents are washing dishes, people are cleaning, you know, your mom's cleaning the house,
Yeah.
you know, while you're taking long drives. It was always playing.
That's to lend itself to how diverse we are and the genres we know. It's not it wasn't a bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, LA is not a bubble. It is, but it ain't, you know. But yeah, that's how we can flex to do Era Primavera, to do Fly. It's still authentic.
Yeah.
You know, I think people internationally will ask us. I did a bunch of interviews, and they're like, "How are you guys able to do that?" You know, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, because, you know, it's not like I'm not salsero, where all I do is salsa.
Right.
You know, this is not the nature of our being. It's not how we grew up. You know, we grew up pretty diverse.
Like, I feel like my brain is just growing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like a threshold is like lifting.
Elevated.
And elevated. So all these different projects we've been doing, it's just like elevating. You know, here we are talking about all this stuff with you.
Yeah.
So we're elevating and growing. And it's fantastic. I mean, you know, this is what we've been working for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I want to touch on one last song, Live Today, which goes back to a lot of what we've touched on, you know, like walking into the studio and it's whatever the vibe is for that day informs the music and the trust that you're all talking about now. So how is that song title and, you know, that song as a whole sort of core to what Chicano Batman is?
I can start prefacing, because Carlos brought that song. But
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, you know, I just want to do a song where like, just kind of like jam through it. Because everything else, you know, with like the sections and arrangements and things like that, I just want to get my guitar and jam. So one time he came by, I was like, let's do it. So I got on the drums to his like, oh, well, it's not jam like that. I was like, dude, I got this, man, let's go.
A specific
You know, so then we had that, we actually tracked that. It was a demo.
It was a demo.
You know, and then, but then it was not getting a lot of love. Because it's that thing, you know? It's like, we do this over here. We don't really do that jam thing. But Carlos really had this will for like, this is how I want it to sound too. I want to have this experience in the band. And then, you know, he just like almost like shyly in the studio, you're like, well, we could do this right now. Let's try this. And he willed it in there. And then, you know, I think people got caught onto that, and
Yeah.
it started becoming its own thing. We started really jamming, and I was like, we never do this. You know?
We had like a musical face-off in the studio. We were running out of time. It was the last day. And we had like 3 hours.
Okay.
And it was like, we had so much ideas and songs we could have worked on between the three of us. And somehow that one I just got the confidence to be like, can we try this? I think this would be cool. Because I was thinking holistically, out of everything we've done so far,
Yeah.
I feel like this could complement everything else. There's a lot of great songs, singing songs, you know, production songs. And I was like, this is something different. I come from like a background that I grew up like loving like Miles Davis, like when I was in college, like the late 60s, early 70s era when it's improvised. You get amazing musicians in a room, you give them like a framework to work off of, and you see what happens. And that was the idea for this was, you know, we had an amazing keyboardist, Quincy McCrary, in the room with us, plays with Jack White, Unknown Motor Orchestra. He's here behind the scenes.
Wow.
Hey, Quincy.
And a drummer, Tamir Barzilay, who's also an incredible talent. And you know, we just kind of came up with the parts very quickly in the studio, and it just took shape. And Bardo was guiding it in the booth with vocal stuff, you know, leading the way on what sections should be this length and whatever. And it was fun. And I just remember John, our producer again, just making like a comment like, "This is really cool. Like, you don't have anything like this on the record, and I like this."
Yeah, he liked it.
He liked it right away. And so that was comforting because, you know,
Validating,
sometimes
yeah.
you're just like, I don't know if this is the right move, you know, be putting it all out there right now and could get shot down, which is fine because, you know, it's about what the band thinks is, you know, the right move, and
Right.
everybody was on board. It was fun.
And that's what's cool about, we track with everybody in the room. And we get as much done in FaceTime.
Yeah.
You know, multi-tracking, everyone can do that. You know?
Yeah.
And but there's air and there's magic and there's something in the room. And I think when you put highly skilled musicians together, then you're really just making choices.
Right.
You know, and my choice affects his choice and affects their choice and that. So you're making aesthetic choices because you don't suck anymore. You know, but choices can suck. You know, but we're also learning from each other.
It gets done quickly.
Yeah. It does
When
really
there's a bunch of people in the room, it's just like literally, oh, try this, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not feeling that way. Can we make it feel this way?
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like also we're finally to the point where we could all say, yo, make it sound like 60s, yeah? And then we won't hate each other for saying that.
Right.
And we'll just be like, yo, we know what you mean by that now.
You can all
Or let's
like
make it
that.
sound 80s because, you know, it needs to be this tone, or it needs to be like a certain like swing on the snare or on the hi-hat, swing on the hi-hat, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fun.
We're honest with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it works and when it doesn't. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, we've always been like that. You know? We have better ways of communicating how to get out of those holes, you know,
Right.
so that we can move forward. But without that, none of this really comes through, you know? If you feel it, you gotta say something. If you don't feel it, you gotta say something because, you know, you're gonna do it for another 20 years.
Do you remember what you all thought about each other the first time you met?
I went to a friend's graduation. She had graduated with her master's in social work. And there was a band playing there. And while the band stopped playing, this guy went up there and just grabbed the guitar and started playing reggae songs.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, you know, I just saw him and I was like, yeah, he's good. He'd probably be better with a band. And then that's it. And I never heard of him ever again. You know, I thought about that maybe about 5 years ago. I was like, damn, that was him.
Really?
Yeah, because we had met other times, years afterwards, at parties and different things like that. But that was the very first impression, and I didn't put that together until like 10 years later. That was him.
That's
playing
wild.
that.
I thought he was a nice guy for letting me borrow his guitar.
Yeah.
I
a
made
pretty solid first impression.
Carlos, I pulled up to a rehearsal.
He borrows everyone's guitar.
I did the same thing. I was like, hey, I thought he was great. My impression
Borrow.
of Carlos was
Right,
like
it's a tactic.
the sound of his amp was amazing. Like, I mean, I saw him play in a band.
Yeah.
I went into their garage space, and it was, I mean, I was blown away by it. It was amazing. That was my first impression. I was actually very impressed with his playing. And then I wanted to jam with him.
Right.
And he was like, I don't know about that. Maybe some other time.
Were you
Hey, give me my
skeptical?
guitar back.
I was trying to run a tight ship at a band practice, and he was dating the singer, this amazing female singer that we had in the group. And I just remember she started becoming late to band practice, you know.
Oh,
And we only had this small window because people have jobs, college, you know,
Yeah.
and it was like we had 2 hours on a Sunday or something. And she was becoming late and late. And I was like, how is she always late? And then one day she showed up with Bardo.
It always
And I
comes
was
back
like,
to you.
I was like, that's why she's late. Yeah. I joined last the band, so, but
Oh, that's right.
I just remember seeing them perform and just thinking they were awesome. And I was like, this is the best band in LA. How can I
Right.
be a part of it somehow? My in was that I had a friendship with Bardo that preceded the band by
Yeah.
many years, 5 years. And so I just told him, hey, if you need a guitar player, I'm available.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's been 15 years?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Feels like a blink, honestly, but
Yeah.
we put in the
I
work,
know.
you know, like they were saying.
Totally.
We were in a van, Astro van, touring Southwest,
Yeah.
New Orleans, our first tour. We did major tours opening for Jack White, and that was just like, we were so green. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a sound person, and we didn't have the crew. We just showed up at these arenas and did our thing DIY, like Fugazi, I guess you could say. But it worked, you know, if you have the
Totally.
drive and the talent, it resonates with people, and thankfully that happened with us.
Got a big show at the Forum. What does playing a venue like that mean for an LA band?
It means everything. I mean, it's a graduation of sorts. It's a celebration for the city. It feels to me like a city holiday, you know, and because LA built this band, you
Yeah.
know, and we're from the city, and our fans built this. So
Right.
we cannot get to this level without our fan base in LA. So it's like, well, come on out, you guys made this happen,
Right.
you know, and so that's the way I see it.
If there's one other LA legend who could be in attendance at that show, like who would you freak out the most over, knowing that they were there?
You know, the first one came to my mind. It's Flea.
Flea, yeah.
That'd be kind of dope side stage,
Flea's
like
awesome.
he's just, you know, chilling.
Obviously, the Chili Peppers are LA legends.
Anderson .Paak would be dope too.
And
We've
it's
also
okay.
seen him play the Forum.
Yeah.
We both played a show together at South by Southwest, Stubbs. It was like
Oh, yeah.
both bands were trying to like break in, you know. And he was just astounded everybody.
Shattered it.
It was just like, wow, this is a superstar.
In addition to your own album and a tour, you were also featured on this Talking Heads tribute album, which is, I cannot wait for. I think that's awesome. But tell me a little bit about how that happened and how you reacted to getting that phone call.
I think it was management. Like there was a connection and there was interest in talking back and forth with the A24 people, and they just said Chicano Batman is interested. They're like, oh, we would love to have him. And they're like, we need the track in 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So it was off to the races.
It's like this, you know, David Byrne's gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like, okay, cool, we got his ear. Like when are you gonna get his ear?
Right.
You know, so that was my motivation, because it stopped making sense for me. It was kind of life changing when I saw that for the first time.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, the willpower. I think to me that's what it was. The willpower of the human spirit, like, can really accomplish anything. And I think that's what that does for me. So we got 4 days. We could do this.
Yeah.
You know, we just rounded up the powerhouse. And we got to try going, and you know, it was fun.
You met David Byrne, right, at a festival?
Yeah, I met
in
him
New York?
before. Yeah, I mentioned Caetano Veloso. I just mentioned, like, because he's the one who brought him to like the States. Is like brought basically his music to the States, and kind of provided a platform for Caetano Veloso to be heard here. And to be quite honest, I wasn't always into his music, but like in the past like 4 or 5 years, like you know, Carlos is a big fan, and you know, he's put me onto some tracks, and it's just like more and more like that whole 80s dance, you know, world music thing is just like really dope, and it sounds fantastic. So
Yeah.
The song they chose for us is, you know, the arrangement is crazy and it's very complex, and more so than upon like maybe like a general listening to it. And it was, I had to like map out, like there was so many little like hidden things going on, and you know, we're learning it by ear. It's not like they give us sheet music and
Yeah.
they transcribe. Like we were just listening and trying to remember, make sure we land all the parts, and it was a beautiful challenge, honestly. It was fun.
Well, Notebook Fantasy out very soon at this point.
Yeah.
Forum show. I cannot wait for that. I hope you open the show with a guttural scream.
This is my house.
Yeah, there's no other way to do it.
Thank you.
Seriously, congratulations. This album's fantastic.
Appreciate it. Thank you.